Guerra, and I'll be the moderator.
I'm Jeremy Balkensberger, and I give a background about the hosting country.
Now, can all our participants introduce yourselves and your side?
I'm Santiago Posada. I'm going to talk about the deaths of the foreign workers, and I'm against.
My name is Barbara, and I'm against.
I'm Jens Kaiser, and I talk about the FIFA World Cup application, and I'm against the World Cup.
My name is Grecia, and I am in favor of the World Cup.
My name is Daniel, and I am for Qatar but against FIFA.
My name is Valentina, and I'm with the World Cup.
Well, I understand.
So, let's get started. The FIFA 2022 World Cup will be held in Qatar from November 20th through December 18th. The government is shelling out about $229 million, making it the most expensive cup ever. This will be the first World Cup held in Arab world. This World Cup in Qatar is expected to bring in $4.7 billion. The hosting countries are relying on the economic impact that will be brought by the tournaments to generate revenue. A surge in tourism, hotel stays, job creation, and above average spending at local restaurants and businesses are just a few examples of the economic impacts that the World Cup will bring. Construction for the World Cup stadiums began in 2017 by the Qatar people. Built 8 stadiums, which were all complex and modern, and they are capable of seating between 60,000 to 80,000 people. What the government forgot to mention is that the stadiums were built by blood.
Having lived in Zurich, the FIFA capital, I have witnessed firsthand the entire bid process and the demonstration against the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The final vote regarding the host of the tournament took place at the Zurich headquarters in 2010. As a result of 4 rounds of voting, Qatar has announced as the winner by former FIFA president Sepp Blatter, who was later banned from participating in FIFA activities due to corruption allegations. A lack of acceptance from the football fanatics for the decision was evident from the beginning. FIFA's own internal evaluation said giving Qatar the World Cup was a massive risk. In 8 out of 9 categories, FIFA gave Qatar either a medium or a high risk, whereas Qatar's closest competitor, the United States of America, had in 8 of 9 categories a low risk. It is also noteworthy that many FIFA officials who voted for Qatar as a host are now banned from FIFA activities due to bribery or other similar allegations. Besides the horrendous application, the country is also known for its inhumane treatment of women and LGBT people. A harsh law allegedly based on religious beliefs dominates Qatar's society, resulting in total suppression of women. Every country and person can have their own beliefs, but the laws of Qatar are going too far and violate human rights. Even worse it is for homosexuals in the Muslim country. Foreigners can be sentenced to up to 3 years in prison, and Muslims under the Sharia law can even get executed. To set a sign for the community and more inclusiveness, captains of the national teams of Germany, England, the Netherlands, France, Belgium, Wales, Denmark, and Switzerland wanted to wear a One Love captain armband. But just 2 days before the event, FIFA banned the armband because of the pressure of the hosting country and threatened with sport sanctions. As well as that, just shortly before the World Cup, Qatar banned alcohol from the stadiums. Budweiser, the main sponsor of the event, will be particularly hurt by this and is now sending the beer to other countries. As if this is not enough, former FIFA president Sepp Blatter said in an interview that he regrets giving the World Cup to Qatar, in spite of the fact that it's the first time the event has taken place in the Arab world. It was a mistake.
Yeah, I informed myself about the FIFA World Cup application, And my thesis is everybody knows that Qatar bought the FIFA World Cup application only through bribes. You can see it in, like, for example, one point that normally human rights are a prerequisite for application, but Qatar doesn't have those and still got the World Cup. And even some FIFA officials were filmed selling their votes. So there's clear evidence that Qatar has bought the World Cup. And yeah, that's my thesis.
It's well known that the World Cup has the attention of thousands of people in media, but like everything else, there's a dark side that fans choose to ignore. There are organizations like Human Rights Watch, which denounce the human rights abuses taking place in the nation of Qatar. The conditions in which immigrants in the country live, people are forced to work, and women face every day are inhumane. If we know and have established via treaties and conventions that no human should be treated this way, why is that we are allowing Qatar to get away with this abuse? Why do we not care about female tourists being mistreated and harassed during their visits? And why do we ignore the actions of the FIFA organization that back this abuse for the sake of economic retribution? There is no reality in which a world tournament with this importance should take place in a country that does not see other people as equals. We need to realize that our support in this World Cup, through views and interaction, lets government get away with the wrong they have done. Each dollar we put towards the World Cup makes us allies of the lives lost while building stadiums and the ones being abused and mistreated as we enjoy a 90-minute game.
Now, there have been many sources from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and other Arab countries in the area that have witnessed the deaths of the citizens working in Qatar and have reported a whopping number of 6,500 deaths in a total of migrant workers. These reports come from the government sources, representing a frightening average of 12 deaths per week. Although the total death count is extremely high, we know that it isn't the total number of deaths due to a lack of reports coming from countries like the Philippines and Kenya that also sent a massive amount of workers to that country. Although most of the deaths have been filled as natural causes, around 80%, that is the estimate that they give. All of these deaths have, it is argued that have occurred and have been covered up by these causes. The other percentage of these deaths consists of road accidents, workplace accidents, and suicide. Now for the deaths of all these migrants that have occurred since 2011, they aren't necessarily categorized or marked in a death certificate as having died directly because of mistreatment or even involved in a construction site. But it is safe to assume that most of them are related because none of these workers would have been there in Qatar in the first place.
There has been a recent report stating that Qatar has not hidden any of the deaths. And why is this whole controversy about?
It is because the problem doesn't rely on the total amount of deaths. So far, all of these numbers have been accurate, but Qatar is not trying to shove the numbers under the rug. But the reports are claiming that the causes of death require much further investigation because it is unbelievable that 80% of the deaths have been occurred in the last 10 years are of natural causes.
Another main thing here is that people often complain whenever a tourist or migrant comes to their country of residence and doesn't follow the country's rules, reading or not, and or doesn't want to adopt or respect the country's culture. In this case, the same thing applies, but it's the other way around. People criticize Qatar for its culture and customs, while no one takes time to think and understand that even though us tourists don't agree with them, we still need to respect them. Same applies for those laws we can argue. Same applies for those laws we can argue. Same applies for their laws. We can argue all we want about their laws. They might be sexist, they might have limit people's freedoms, they might be homophobic and whatnot. but in the end, it is not our fight and none of our business. Before all the World Cup, nothing was mentioned about Qatar, and now that it was chosen, everyone is talking about Qatar, criticizing it.
Okay, so the FIFA World Cup 2022 is unique in many respects, with the type of opportunities and challenges to sustainability being no exception. The FIFA World Cup 2022, which was awarded to Qatar in December 2010, will be the first FIFA World Cup to be hosted in the Middle East. This is a tremendous opportunity for the region to welcome and connect with millions of people from across the globe, showcasing its unique identity and culture and building new bridges of understanding.
Yeah, well, keeping in mind all the union caused by the national funds that arose to the World Cup that is taking place in Qatar, I consider that this massive event shows that soccer is a step forward to equality. And in nations and in culture, knowing that Qatar is a country with a conservative culture, we put tolerance, respect, and empathy into practice by holding the World Cup in this location. The world, I mean, we could say that the people of Qatar are living the experience of seeing the diversity of progress of cultures all over the world, and likewise, the population is learning how to different cultures and ideologies around the world. So, therefore, it generates empathy to understand the reason for the arguments and thoughts of the people who live in different countries.
As an avid viewer, seeing all the events that have occurred being led up to the World Cup, what are you feeling?
Personally, I'm not really in the mood for the World Cup. Qatar is not a soccer nation. I don't like the fact that the World Cup is held by such a nation. And in my opinion, the country should not be able to buy a World Cup.
Okay, Barbara?
It is devastating to see how an event that is known as a familiar event that unites people for a passion is involved in such a big and controversial scandal. These abuses and actions shouldn't be promoted.
Okay, Daniel?
Well, I feel like FIFA's executive board has let their fans down. Football or any other sport is supposed to be honest, have good sportsmanship, and absolutely no cheating. And with all the money being passed under the table, and it all felt just like if they violated those principles. So it lost a lot of trust for me.
Santiago?
In my opinion, we shouldn't be promoting an event that has caused the suffering of so much people. Even more in light of recent events like the news about the Mexican woman who was raped, and instead of getting justice, she was whipped for just trying to report the crime. Qatar was never a good choice for a World Cup, especially now that we see that it is heavily intolerant country.
Valentina?
I feel like it's a great opportunity to get to know our new cultures and respect them as well. It is a gather where people all around the world are together enjoying the same thing in a country. It's
Gracia?
Yeah, I think it's such a shame all these events occurring, but I think soccer will never be stopping. I mean, it will be always an event who unites countries and nations. So I think it's important to stop the good things about Qatar.
Okay. So, now, Santiago, what has happened with the workers who built the stadium? Where are they now? What are the families feeling? What do you think is going on?
Well, many of the workers have died during the construction of said stadiums for various reasons. These include accidents caused by harsh working conditions and even deaths caused by heat stroke.
Valentina, so you're with the government. So why are we supposed to turn the cheek and still support the World Cup?
Well, first of all, because it has three main pillars: economic, environmental, and social. The preparation, staging, and post-tournament activities of a FIFA World Cup can generate a wide range of impacts on the economy, the natural environment, and on people and communities, both in the host country and internationally.
Janice, so you're you are against the government, so what is going on with the FIFA briberies and the under-table exchanges?
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, FIFA bribery has a long history. Like we said, also the Russian World Cup was probably bought by Russia. Normally they wouldn't have won the election, and also now Qatar has bought this FIFA World Cup. And you can see it's well documented that before the election was done to give the World Cup to FIFA, that the FIFA officials were systematically bribed. This is also on video. And many of these members are now even suspended by FIFA or are sued. So yeah, there's clear evidence of bribery in FIFA.
It is that, so you're with the government. Why is the public ignoring all these allegations and still supporting them? Is that what the government is expecting us to do?
Well, maybe I think it is, well, sometimes soccer and all those events, sport events, are made to, I don't know, maybe cover other things, but it is always good events to reunite people, and you know, maybe we're different, but we're in this together, playing or whatever.
Barbara, you're against the government, so what happened to the reporters in Qatar? Why are they scared to keep on putting out the news of what's going on in the country?
Well, basically they are being abused, and that's their biggest fear. We have heard many cases of police attacking and violating the rights of the reporters, and I want to share with you the two most important cases. The first one is the one of Rasmus Tanholt, a reporter from TV2, who during a live, he recorded the image of a policeman who abruptly approaches him and asks him to stop recording, and then threatens him with breaking the camera if he doesn't obey the order. And there is also the case of Giselle Buendia, who is a reporter from ESPN. She was just looking for a coffee when the policeman took her to a separate room for a revision that turned into a really exhaustive revision, just like if she was a thief, and just because the metal detector failed. So the media is afraid of being abused and assaulted just by doing what they are paid to do. They can take pictures without being questioned, and they can film without being threatened.
So do you think, well, not only government is overusing power, but also there's some police brutality involved?
I think they have no right to abuse people because that's their job. They are paid for doing that, and just because they have like the protection of the government, they can do that.
So Lamia, you're with the government. Does this seem okay to the public, especially the government? Does he think it's okay to be treating not only citizens but also immigrants and visitors that are coming into Qatar that way?
I mean, Qatar has been doing all of that stuff for a while now, and as I said before, no one batted an eye until the World Cup was decided to be hosted there. Thing is here that FIFA executives are the ones who decided to select Qatar as this year's host. In any case, all the hatred and whatnot should be directed towards those who got bribed for voting for that country. Qatar's government did have a lot to deal with when it came to building the stadium, preparing temporary laws, lifting other laws temporarily, obviously. But in the end, they still earned a pretty considerable amount of capital from all this search of tourism. So the government of Qatar didn't quite like lose in any way. Also, the rest of the world was not okay with FIFA's decision, and with the way they were bribed, there even was a person who, in act of protest, walked onto the stage during a FIFA conference and handed a big wad of cash to Sepp Blatter, saying, "Sepp, this is for North Korea 2026. Thank you very much." So yeah, I think Qatar's public may or may not be for it, but I think they all are for the World Cup since it's something that has never happened there, but the rest of the world is.
Well, after listening to what you said, I mean, obviously the people in Qatar are gonna be so happy about the event. It's not only the prestige of the event, but as previously mentioned, the event will bring in $4.7 billion, which means that Qatar will kind of have an economic lift up. But as you said, the public around doesn't really like what is going on. So with everything being heard and everything being set on the table, should we still watch the Qatar FIFA World Cup? Why or why not?
I think that people must set aside that it can't go on like this, and thus I will not watch the World Cup. I think when the TV ratings are low, FIFA will realize that it can't go on like this. And also, in my opinion, all big football organizations like the UEFA should leave to FIFA to build a completely new football organization with democratic values.
Well, to me, I think that people that do care about the World Cup should watch it. Those who don't watch it. It's just like anybody's preference in the end. But if you are against something, you shouldn't support it. So if you don't support it, don't watch it.
Well, my honest answer is no. At this point, we have heard a lot of what happened for the World Cup to happen, and now we know FIFA is not canceling his plans. People and fans have given FIFA so much pain, and I think if people don't attend or don't see the World Cup, then there's no market to move. So maybe it's kind of impossible that change in some years, but I'm not viewing the World Cup.
After the World Cup, so I think that the tournament presents tremendous opportunities for the development of local industries, expertise and infrastructure, for innovation and application of world-class standards, and for support of Qatar's transition to a knowledge-based economy. So yeah, I think we should watch.
So I sort of agree with Janice because I think that FIFA's name has been permanently stained by all of their actions in the past couple of years. And I think that we shouldn't be supporting a country that has damaged so much people and clearly doesn't follow basic human rights.
Yeah, well, I think that if you want to, if you're a fan of soccer, you can see it. There's no we can do right now about we cannot cancel Qatar. So yeah, it's like when people say that they're against Qatar's World Cup, but they're buying clothes from maybe some shop that everybody knows that explodes the people making that clothes, and it's like you're against that, but you're supporting that, you're buying that things. It's all about capitalism, but yeah, you can see if you want to.
Okay, so any closing statements before the conclusion that y'all want to make? Okay. So, the FIFA World Cup 2022, currently taking place in Qatar, has been a topic for the public due to the death of workers, violence towards reporters, under-the-table bribes, prestige in the cup, excitement for the games, etc. We have all heard both sides, and there is no fair treatment for workers, public, reporters, or any other human involved in this scandal. Either way, each government decides to rule and work their way. It is not in our hands, and it's not in the hands of us, to the public, to be boycotting the government. They won't even listen. It is in the hands of those who live under their rule. Yes, we can help and spread awareness, but changes won't be made from day to night. This will take time. In regards to the World Cup, the tournaments will and have already started and taken place in Qatar. There's nothing else we could do to make it all fair. There is so much money being invested into this event, which means it won't be shut down, much less from one day to the other. After listening to both sides, those who are in favor of the government and those who are against it, there will be no one who can judge you and critique your opinion. So if you want to watch the World Cup, go ahead. It's your choice and you have the freedom. Watching and attending the World Cup doesn't mean you're with or against the government and what has gone into the process of building stadiums. It just means you're interested in the sport and supporting your country. Watch the World Cup if you want to. You have the freedom, or don't watch the World Cup again. You have the freedom. There is no right or wrong answer in supporting the sport and your country. Just remember that the stadiums were built by blood.
Very good, really very good. The only thing you needed to say that this is something which has been at this point, there is some